Atochin chitab kolenjin eng ketesiet noton neichome nebo KASS TV kakituiye tuan eng kibagenge logoiwekab emet koboto tetutiet noton neitun eng betutab raini. Bwat ile eng kila kasitab somok kemiten tuan eng kibagenge eng tetutiet noton nebo Mungaret ak Pandaptai anan biashara Wednesday. Betutab raini kindoi keljin kemite studio ak Dr. Michael Bongei. Inendet ko kandoindet bunu county nebo Bomet ako mising ko kipsomaniat kenai kele tos ne bandaptai nebo emet. Ile miten ngalekab bonus chemiten ngweny aliet choton chebo chaik kosini kong komalo kobaten ketaunen logoiwekab emet chekakoitwech en olebo studio. Kakiyai sautik ak konoret nebo biik 8 en betutab raini choton kiibet sobonwekwak en county nebo Elgeyo Marakwet. En igorta noton kaindochin CS noton nebo ribetab kalyet en emet orit Kipchumba Murkomen en kwenutab alak en toek kobun county nebo Elgeyo Marakwet.
We don't want corruption kwa sehemu hii. Atele kwa wiki kama meko ngechi chosir tukun chema nyoru nyinde. Meri nyingile chepya sona karin goyu. Ay meje nyoru tukun chebarira. Ya? Mangat parengu ay meje yob tukun chebarira. Kumeje ba kesir chi nyekumnyan ak chi chone ba. Kinemija barasa inaya tkinyorin se kama ko secondary school. Kama ne ngalejo jola kisire ko ba chi nyoko nyoru shida nyoko ngate parenyin nyoko wokonyin nyoko kwobe chakik ntege nyoko potesan chi nte nyoko umisan chi kule chi chako ho chimba akore tokol magingat kore tokol abana
mpaka mwisho huko kocholwa. Serikali wapewe hii escarpment, waweke miti yao, wananchi wapewe mahali mzuri ya kuishi, alafu tunaishi mzuri ama namna gani? Kwa sababu nyani inaishi mahali mzuri kuliko wana araba tu siku hapo mchumba maana kile angalia mchumba chako hapo ndani. Mwisho mchumba, sisi wakati tunangojea hii program kubwa ya serikali kutoka next mvua hii inakuja, county italete kahawa, avocado. Kama tegesom chitokol nemi en kartini bore matikol par nyamatinga mambo ya terrace amatinga ket amatinga avocado ndaka kahawa. Tutalete mtu ya kufunza sisi wakati tunangoja serikali ifanye mambo yao, hata sisi tufanye yetu.
Watu wameongezeka. And when there is an increase in population, there is pressure on resources. Na saa ile pressure iko kwa resource ni land. And land is a fixed resource. Shamba haiwezi kuongezeka. So waziri, we must sit down as a government na tukae chini na kubaliana na mtu Mheshimiwa Kangogo Bowen amesema lazima tukue na special committee. Mimi naongeza ya kwamba lazima tukue na special budget, a special fund, so that we address the all issue along these escarpments. Hii watu ni watu wetu. Lazima tutafute mahali, na waziri Murkomen asante. Wakati ulikuwa senator mara ya kwanza, watu wa Embobutu walipata pesa 410. Wengine wakaenda kununua mashamba pale huko juu. So even it is even possible tutafute pesa ya compensation, mtu ambaye kwa escarpment atafute shamba mahali pengine. Na bado upande kofi ama majani chai katika sehemu hiyo. So we must be able to do that.
Mmefanyika kwa wakati ukiwa waziri. We have our challenges hapa ya land. We unajua hata watu wengi hapa hawana title deed. There is the issue of below the road. There is watu wanaishi Roroko huko, hata juzi tukitoka huko chini nilikuwa naona nasema hata unaogopa kumeka comment because unaona if something else happens, waziri, after this burial let us sit down, Kangogo Bowen senator na governor, and have a candid conversation.
En betut noton kakiboiboenji en betutab raini betut noton nebo murenik en ngweny komugul koboisien koratan kikoito kurset koityi murenik komuch korib icheket mengatosiekwak ak missing koistoege usisiet nekibaorionjin en korik.
En betut nekakibwat betutab murenik en ngwony kokakicher kwanusiek koker kole karib korikwak asikimuch kekirinda anan kiistoengei yautik chebo kanyaliletab kwonyik, murenik ak lagok nenaat ko gender based violence GBV ole en county nebo Bomet ko takomi barak yautik cheu chotok.
Kakibwan ako kakongalal murenik akole tesetai koyoe sensitization nebo GBV noton nemi barak en Bomet. Ako kakomwa ine kole ako kakikochi akine as a department ke-spearheaden tugul ak keker kele amune asikotesetai GBV en Bomet. Ako kakeker tuguk chechang chekoseni GBV ako alak ko kakenai okot kele GBV kora ko affecteni in bigger percentage murenik. So ngetesetai 16 days ko our theme kora ko sensitization about GBV. So kakikur stakeholders tugul ak kemwoe kongoi chekabwa ra ak kele ongetestai kemwa ak kesensitize and people kistopen GBV. GBV ko kakile kiseret piretab chepyosok, piretab boisiek, nyeren lagok ak kora kereben rights kereben imanda biik en our society.
Murenik, chito nekikuren murenik kong'eten ng'etyondit akoi kotkoi murenik ko kakeng'alalen en boroindo ako kakesich ele mi makosa ako kibendi keyoe yoto ak kilitit sikobit kwo lain sikomong biik chechoto en ibinda nenyone. Kongoi kora en ministry nebo culture ak Red Cross amun kakurech ko ki stakeholders chebo biik chemi resop sikeib ng'olyondoni keibchin biik chemi resop especially lagok chemi nguni menjo.
En tuyet nekakiyai en taonitab Bomet, stakeholders cheterter ko kaking'alalen akobo komonut nebo kwanusiek ak konyit neyoche kikochi ichek.
Akabunchi komonut betuni tom kai kesiche nafas sikeselebreten betut nebo celebration nebo International Men's Day anan Boy Child Day, Boys and Men. Ko yemoche kemwa kongoi en chitugul nekakonde input nenyin kotor koik very successful betutab raini. Kakibwotchige kele kimoche kereseten, kereformaten system nekibo murenik, keweken yukinye ele kingemwa kele mi murenik gai, mi murenik kokwoni, kemwoe kotor kemwa kele mi murenik Kenya, ko choton cheteche society. Kemoche ketech society nenyonet kokikimite boy child right from our families, kebwa kokwotinwekyok, sukulishekkyok, kanisoshekyok and the larger community.
Kosubkei ak CEC nebo Gender ak Social Services en county nebo Bomet, Bwana Cheruiyot ko kamwa ine kole tinye tetutik serikalitab county nebo Bomet nebo koker kole kakiborien yautik chebo gender based violence ak kikochi kora konetisiet murenik akobo ole kiripto korikwak asikekirinda yautik cheu choton.
Ko en Bomet County ko kakichusen keselebreten betuni rani en kakiinviten stakeholders chekiboisien tugul en ng'alekab empowerment nebo chebo gender especially en men engagement. Ko kakinetkei tuguk chechang, kakeker kele kikebakakte boy child saidi anan lakwet ne kijanayat ne muren ak biik che murenik kora. Kikere kele kike-dwellen so much anan kikeker komosta nebo girl child ak chepyosok saidi konekit ainon, nekit keutien vijanaek ko kakeker kele bune challenges biik che murenik akichek en gaa ako kakeker echek en county government kekerunen the side nebo policy, kekere kele kibendi kikimiti ng'alek chebo policies chewendi ketete sikeker kele kakichop mipango chewendi kotoretech kepongonut tetutik che kororon chebo murenik anan ak vijana.
Kong'eten county nebo Bomet, logoiwekab emet chebo KASS, kainenyun ko Festus Rono.
Kakobor boiboiyet President William Ruto eng kakwautyetab keibe chetokyingei kekanapta sekta nebo tililindo en emetab Kenya, chamwa kole kokotestai komuktechi biikab emet konyor konyoiset en oret noton nebo nyumnyumindo.
Kenya's commitment to universal health coverage rests on a simple but powerful truth. Every life matters. Today, we reaffirm that commitment by strengthening the partnership that protect our people and protect our region. Kenya and WHO have stood together through outbreaks, pandemics, recoveries, and rebuilding, forging a partnership defined not just by projects, but by shared capabilities in early warning systems, national surge teams, strategic reserves, and digital systems that turn data into life-saving action. Because of this collaboration, fewer lives are lost, recoveries are faster, and confidence across the continent continues to grow. I have agreed with the Ministry of Health team that, as I have said, the maternal and child mortality is unacceptably high. we cannot be losing upwards of 300 in 100,000 while the benchmark is 70. I mean, it is completely unacceptable. And going forward, we have agreed with the DHA is going to provide data, and every facility in Kenya, public or private, every facility must provide data on mothers and children who die in their facilities. I know that there are facilities that continue to hide data on mothers who die or children who die in hospitals. We must get the data right, because we must get our act together and reduce the death of mothers and children, especially at birth. I have asked the ministry to conduct an RRI, and the Director General at the ministry has given us an undertaking that by March next year, we will have the correct data on what is our performance as a country, county by county, and then we can therefore be able to respond to this big challenge effectively.
When we were talking inside, President Ruto insisted he wants to see the number of maternal deaths going down. And we support fully. For our media, pregnancy is not a disease, it's a physiological change of the body. So no one is supposed to die. Alongside this are 205 medical oxygen cylinders, nearly 3,000 emergency and infectious prevention supplies, ensuring that frontline facilities are ready for outbreaks, emergencies, and critical care.
Noton nebo Nandi kokamiten barak rirek en kokwet nebo Tururo en county nebo Nandi yekangekonori borwekab neranik oeng chekibet sobonwekwak kosibkei ak nyasutab oret nekibit chekingorutyo icheket kobunu kanisa kowekse gaa.
Kamite barak rirek eng kokwetab Tururo nemite warditab Nandi Hills eng county nebo Nandi eng kasarta nekakikonori borwekab neranik aeng chebo kenyisiek 20 ak 25 yekinyor nyasutietab oret eng komosta nebo Kipsebwo eng oretab Nandi Hills Kapsabet.
Betutab Sunday kokobunu kanisa icheket kowekse icheket kobunu market nebo Kipsebwo kitokosu lorit kosubi lorit konyone karit nebunu Kisii kong'etegei Nandi Hills kwendi Kapsabet. Lakini kiek aragenet kobet sobeng'wa agenge eng yotok akobet age eng oret.
Atya kemwa kabisa kele one nekokon lagochu tuwai eng kanisa kokibunu kanisa betunotok akikon yai boisiet neo nebo iman akocher biik koboisiechi Jehova koyai boisietab kanisa.
Kiit nekakon aragenet neo mising eng meetab neranichoto aeng ko nebunu ichek kokwet agenge ako lagok chekisich kametwagikwak ko ichegei.
Families chutok aeng kokobo Wilfred lakwet nebo Aramuko nekokure Chelimo ako ko inegei ako ingoni kora nebo kot nebo my brother ko ko inegei kora lakwet ne inegei nekotegemeane gogo nekoikiljingei.
Kaimangei biikab emet eng chongindo koboto kandoikab bolotet chekamwa ichek kole koek aragenet neo kot mising meetab neranichoto.
Angen ale wendi kamuktaindet sikwai nemie eng kokwoninyo. Kokomach sikochang'a biik chemengechen chekebeti murechu ko kenyisiek 25 ak kenyisiek 20.
Ilelo mising murechu amu katakayam konam ng'atutik werib emoni kokonech uchumi konyo barak.
Kasom ichek serikali kobaraita oranoto bo Awasi akoi Eldoret eng mwaet kole kikokon oranoto nyasutik chechang.
Ko ndakyami bunge kaying somet amu muguleldanyo nemi sengwet buk chameche ketes oranitoni ketes kabisa atyam kebo ngemi chepsangor kende nini barriers wallit newendi barak nekim kabisa neuno mite salgang biik chikchobe salgang singobut karit kotektoi.
Menyoru zebra crossing, you don't get any sign. Inyege kityo iboisie ak Mungu neng'ung'et. So tunahitaji hiyo kitu haraka na upesi.
Sai nguno amu kakibwa holiday, kakibwa biik tugul kitinye tumwek kitinye ne, oye ongebe mutyo. Chang biik chebunu Nairobi chebwone olepka, twende pole pole.
Neranik chotok ko nganda ko kipsomaninik ichek kochome mpiret nekityori ole kaititata kasubikab mpiret eng chongindo yakamwa ichek kole koek nito asenet neo kot mising.
Kama huyu kijana wetu Wilfred ambaye alikuwa anaitwa Lukaku kwa jina la utani wa mpira, alikuwa coach wa Kipsebwa, akawa coach wa Captain na pia alikuwa na coach timu ya wamama ya Chemomi Queens. Tuna mpango wa kutengeneza memorial tournament ya hawa vijana ambayo mtaambiwa hivi karibuni.
Eng kasarata ko kai family chotok kandoikab kanisa chekaititata kondochin rubeiwotab bishop nebo kanisetab AIC Nandi area James Mosonik eng mwaet kole tebutik chekitebegei kosubkei ak nyasutyonoto kongen kamuktaindet inegei.
Ayubu ni moja ya watu ambao walipitia magumu katika maisha yao. It is an example nebo iman nenyalu kinetegei yebwonje tuguk cheuchu kabwonje en betutab rani.
Kongetegei county nebo Nandi logoiwekab emet chebo KASS, kainenyu ko Nelson Tarbei.
Karutechi committee noton nebo kabatisiet en bunge emetab Raini county nebo Kericho sikomuch kochigil kotiengei kang'ung'unyet kobun kabatik chemwoe kole tesetai konyoru bonus chemiten ng'weny ngekerchin factories chemiten en West of Rift ngekerchin ak factorisiek chemiten East of Rift.
Kong'ololjin sirikab logoiwek kasarta nekarutechi county nebo Kericho committee nebo kabatisiet en bunge nebo National Assembly komwa nebo ng'echeret en committee noton ne MP nebo Tikania West Dr. John Mutunga kole takyingei chikilet en terchinosiekab lipanetab bonuses chebo chaik en emoni.
So this issue came to parliament through members and of course it's after they have received significant pressure from their farmers for their electorates. And we took it up as a committee. Took a bold decision to do an inquiry, to go beyond the normal consultations that we do as members of parliament, as committees, where we call stakeholders to come and present memoranda to us or call them to write to us. So we decided to do both, visit institutions, visit the factories that are processing tea and selling for that matter, and also visit the farmers and listen to them.
Kosubkei ak Dr. Mutunga komiten alak en membaekab committee noton chemiten en East of Rift asikotoret en chengetab walutiet ak ortinwek chekiboisien asikolany alyetab chaik.
So when it comes to clearly saying exactly what causes the discrepancy in terms of the costs, in terms of the value, or in terms of the bonuses, we are not yet at the final end of the study. We only have preliminary findings, and these preliminary findings are subject to confirmation. We will still be around here tomorrow, visiting a few factories and then discussing with the farmers. Half of the committee is here, the other half of the committee is visiting the east.
Kamwa MP noton kole karutechi kibagengeitab chikilisiet nebo The Research Institute en county noton nebo Kericho asikonai magutik chemiten en chikilisiet asikoib walet en kabatisiet koboto kora chikiletab factoritab chaik nebo Tekat KTDA en county noton.
Ours was to establish how true some of these issues are and what really are the core causes. That is why we made a deliberate decision to speak to the Tea Research Institute, because Tea Research Institute has a mandate to basically develop varieties and cultivars that are planted by farmers across the country for both the east and west. This is the only tea research institute we have in the country, and therefore it covers the entire country, and therefore their opinion will be finely balanced in our consideration.
Kotinygei ak rabisiekab besendo chemwaat kele kisom factorisiekab chaik chebo West of Rift rabisiek cheite bilionisiek 14. Komwa MP noton kole kushin kong kora noton asikonai akomong walutiet kotomo koitita report bunge.
We are obligated to investigate the authenticity of these figures, the process used to borrow that money, and how that money was utilized, and also the extent to which the farmers were engaged before the borrowing was done. In other words, public participation pre-borrowing public participation, and also how the money was utilized, or is being utilized, and how the payment is arranged. So that's an issue that is also in question.
Kagotil kibagengeit nebo lewenisiet ak kiwatosiek nebo IEBC kole kiyai anan kibut ng'atutik oeng'u eng kabelik some ng'echeret noton nebo koning'ete ng'atutik nebo Kasipol. En tilet nekayai kibagengeit noton bo IEBC komwa Commissioner Alutalala Mukwana kole kobut ng'atutik Philip Aroko nebo Independent ak Boyd Were kobun chamaitab ODM en campaign chekokiboryenchi chemarget neo kot missing kot koit kibetyin biik sobonwek en komosata Kasipol.
Chemarganata ko kibit eng tarik 6 arawanito bo 11 eng olimbo Opondo eng Central Kasipul ole kiibokyi kasubikab Aroko kasubik chebo Were koyae campaign.
This committee finds that the failure by the two candidates to adhere to the directions of the RO and of the Commission as required under paragraph 6E, K, Roman 1 and 3 of the Electoral Code of Conduct cited above resulted into violence and regrettably the death of the two people.
Yautyonoto ko kiyai koityi koboryo kasubikab Aroko ak chebo Were kot kobet sabenwa biik aeng che kasubikab Aroko.
Police report indicated that 2 people died in the violence that ensued, several were injured and property destroyed. The reports also pointed out instances of violence and damage to property within Kasipul constituency attributable to the two candidates.
Kamwa IEBC kole maisub ng'atutik kandoichoto kokirinda terchinet nekimitei eng kasubikwak.
It emerged that number 1, arms and weapons were carried and displayed in the campaign rallies. The candidates failed to cooperate and failed to liaise in good faith with each other to avoid organizing public meetings, demonstrations, rallies, or marches to take place at the same time, and venue as similar political events organized by other parties.
Kaking'at ichek kolipan fine nebo milionit 1 agetugul eng saishek 48 akonde siyet nebo koyonchinet nebo koamda kalyet.
Mr. Philip Aroko, for the violation, is hereby condemned to pay a fine of Kenya shillings 1 million to the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission within 48 hours of these orders. D, that Mr. Boyd Were Ngondo is condemned similarly for the violation to pay a fine of Kenya shillings 1 million to the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission within 48 hours of these orders. Both candidates shall before this committee sign the political decency charter publicly and declare publicly before this media assembled here to uphold peace and tolerance in their campaigns with a clear undertaking that reneging from it would amount to a violation of the Electoral Code of Conduct.
Kibit boroindo eng constituency nebo Kasipul yekingobar chelososiek MP Charles Ong'ondo Were eng taunit neo nebo Nairobi. Aripotenchini KASS logoiwekab emet eng county nebo Nairobi. Kainenyu ko Samson Kurgat.
Kakikoito kurset koityi biikab emet konyor naet kotiengei ak ng'atutik missing kotinyegei ak ng'alekab pcheitaetab malik anan mogornotet koboto imbarenik. Ndokana mwaat kele miten koimutik eng kasarta age tugul nemiten ng'alek chebo succession anan pcheitaetab malik kong'eten sigik koba lagok anan ko biik chemoche kopchei malik kounoto kobo komonutiet chitugul konai kole tos mwoe nee ng'atutik kotiengei ak noton.
Kosubkei ak kokilia Daniel Kiptoo Tarigo neboisie kou nebo ng'echeret eng court annexed mediation konyolu eng biikab emet kosub ak kokuyo ortinwek chotok chenyolu amait koai kandiet anan succession missing ko ramunetab malik anan ko mbarenik chemitei terchinoshek.
Yakoit wakati kotebi ng'weny family sikobit kong'etin kekoshin ketoi process nebo succession koyoche ketounen gaa kotepche ng'weny ko family kotepche ng'weny eng gaa oetyine ole kakeamuan kechagwan chito anum sikoik administrator sikobit kondochi the process nebo succession. Ndekoyai tuyonotok ak oetyine ole tuguk ngichon chekimeto marehemu chito nekikosirto, ngo mbarenik, ngo karishek, ngo tuga, ngo ne, ngo tuguk tugul chemi yotok gaa. osirchindosi kole kakekoshinechi marehemu kimeto lagokchu family nenyi kole tuguk chekitindoi kochu. Chito nakakiamuan kelewen kondochi the process nebo succession nekure administrator ko anum. Administrators komuch koek chito agenge anda komuch koek biik chemasire 4, agenge anda ko 4 chemasire 4. So takokoshinechi kunoto konamas minutes chebo family oipchi kirwogin chief. Konget chief kasirwa age nekile introduction letter. Introduction letter nesire chief ko suppose kosir kole kiingen chito nekisirto ako ingen family nenyinet. Ndakakosir kirwogindetab baruanotok no inyoibas ngot komi mbarenik keyai search mbarenik. Ngot komi karishek keyai search kora chebo karishek chotok. Ngot komi chepkondok chemi accounts kot lazima identify nole accounts ngichon chotok kitindoi chepkondok. Ndakakotar that process onamas document chotok tugul oipchi ogiliot. Ocheng ogiliot neingen ng'alekab ng'atutik che dealenigei ak ng'alekab succession. Chotok ng'alekab tuguk atebetab kaa, family law. Koyoiwok kochosenwok formishek, ngakakinyit formishek kefilen tuguk chotok eng kotini, yetyo kiyokto koba Nairobi nekile Kenya Gazette. Ip kiyokto koba Kenya Gazette, takikasetin after 1 month upon gazettement kekono grant. Kotakaonam grant notok as ko that is the nafas nemuch obe bank kobo confirmen ole siling atak chemite account. Nafas notok noboishe nokoshindosi eng family ole marehemu kimeto biik cheten ako kakeamuan kepchei tuguk kouni. Osiras report olemoche kepcheita tuchotok sietyo oipchi bilionng'wong sikobit kofilen document chotok eng kotini.
Kamwa Tarigo kole kosubkei ak ng'atutietab emoni anan katiba koikochin biik tugul namunetab malik eng kergeindo kobate koshinet inegei.
Ko sheria nebo Kenya nelel, ng'atutiet nelel notok katiba nebo rani ko kikonam biik koek aechin biik tugul che werik ak che tibik ko kargei tugul eng sheria nebo Kenya. As ang pcheetab tuguk ko much okoshin okwege ole okay man tibik ko kikitun kingen kele kikitun, lakini sheria nebo rani ndalen tibik kakimach kepchei tuguk kepchei koechin, lakini eng somenyo ak ateptab kolenjin komugul ko sometab biikab kolenjin ko tibik chikitun ko melen mara mingi ko wacham komakikochin tuguk koechin ak chebo werik ngap ngetingeri werik eng gaa, lakini ngomokoshindochi kunotok kole kipchei kouni ako bun chitugul lazima kobendi soit kotir ng'alechotok koamuan judge kole tuguk tugul kepchei koechin.
En kakwautiet nebo cheng'etab melekto neo nemiten barak koikoito kurset koityi kabatik anan meng'ik chebo county nebo Elgeyo Marakwet kotestai icheket ak ribet noton nebo kiagik ak missing kotoi kochut icheket baet noton nebo kechirek nemwaat kele miten breed chekokoit chemuch komiten barak kelchinoik ngekerchin ak cheboe biik en nguni.
Baetab kechirek chebo banyek chenootin ko dopa ko tetutiet agenge nebo ripsetab kiagik nebo kamanut netomo koshikong meng'ikab county nebo Elgeyo Marakwet asikonyorune melekto nemite barak. Eng kenyit agenge nokosirto kokitoi county noto tetutietab kowal breed nebo kechirek kobun tetutietab serikali naat ko Kenya Livestock Commercialization Program anan KELCOP nekitoi koropta mengichik anan dopa rams koityi kibagengeishek cheterter chebo kabatik eng wardishek 4 chebo county noto. Ne agenge eng kibagengeishek choto kinyor kelchin noto ko Kondabilet Quick Response Group nemite warditab Cherang'any Chebararwo.
Nilipata faida kutoka KELCOM maana 2024 mwezi wa 6 waliweza kutupea kondoo 20. Walitupea kondoo 20 na hizo kondoo mimi nilikuwa nimechukua, siku nataka ile kondoo imesa, so nilipenda kondoo wadogo.
Tuko na kama kikundi tuko na rams 10 ama ndume 10, kondoo 10. Rams ni 6, ndume ni 6 na kike ni 4. Kwa hivyo wale wako hapa 2 alafu wale wengine 4 wako kwa nyumba za wale members wengine.
kosubkei ak membayab kibagengenoto kongon kole tindoi kamanutik chechang baetab kechirek choto naat ko dopa ngikerchin ak baetab kechirek chebo kipkaa ole nyoru kabatindet melekwek chemitei barak mising eng aldaetab kechirek choto bo dopa.
Kondoo huyu ambaye anaitwa doba akilishwa vizuri huwa anakuwa kwa upesi na anapata uzito kwa muda mfupi. Kwa hivyo yeye ana nyama nzuri na pia wakati wa kuuzwa huwa analeta pesa mzuri kwa soko.
Doba ni mzuri kwa sababu hata kondoo kisha saliwa tu mwezi 3 hiyo uko na pesa 10,000 plus, kwa sababu kondoo ya doba iko na pesa. Hata unaposhikwa na shughuli, hata ukiuza kondoo ya mwezi 3 unapata pesa 10,000. Lakini kondoo ile kienyeji haikui haraka. Kondoo kienyeji ni ya nyama, na nyama utaongojea mpaka kondoo ikuwe mkubwa ndio uchinje. Lakini doba hawa hata wakiwa mdogo unauza kwa sababu ni mbegu.
Nyumnyum mising baetab kechirek choto bo dopa amu amitwogik chekiboe kechirek ko amitwogik cheimuch konyorchigei kabatindet atkai tugul.
Manufaa ya kondoo ni kwamba wanatumia chakula kidogo na wanaweza kulishwa kwa sehemu kidogo. Kwa hivyo hata kama mkulima hata kuwa na shamba kubwa anaweza kulisha kondoo wengi kwa sehemu kidogo. Chakula chao ni nyasi, kuna dry matter kama nini ya stocks, maize stocks ikishakwa. Pia unaweza kuundia hawa silage, alafu utatumia kwa wale wananyonyesha ama wale wako na watoto. Na kondoo anaweza kupata watoto mara 2 kwa mwaka.
Kaimutiet neo nebune ribichoto bo kechirek choto bo dopa ko mianwek cheterter chenomegei choto atkai tugul. Vincent Kemboi ko kibet kechirek 4 eng arawetab 8 kenyini eng mianwek choto kinam kechirek chi.
Shetani pia anapendanga pia mali iko vita mazuri, pia anapenda majaribio. Maana kweli kwa wakati ilifika mwezi wa 8 tukapata changamoto ya ugonjwa. Kuna ugonjwa ilikuja ambaye kuna wave strike ambaye ilikuja ambaye iko vizuri. Mwezi wa 7, 8 tuliweza kupoteza kondoo wengi. Sasa kama mimi mwenyewe nilikuwa na kondoo 110, lakini niliweza kupoteza kondoo 34.
Magonjwa ya kondoo sana sana ni ile ya kupe, ECF, na ile ya baridi, upepo. Ikichapwa na upepo direct, hapo inaweza kupata magonjwa ile inakuwa associated na baridi ama upepo.
Kongete county nebo Elgeyo Marakwet, logoiwekab emet chebo KASS, kainenyu ko Andrew Kimeto.
Andrew Kimeto, chitab Kolenjin, ko kakiit let en nguni logoiwekab emet chekaitun eng ketesiet nebo KASS TV kobaten eng komalo ketuitosi ak Dr. Michael Bongei asikomuch ketaun tetutiet metwaige kiweksei eng komalo.